Most Americans who live paycheck to paycheck don't know they're doing it. They think it means being broke, struggling, falling behind. But real paycheck to paycheck looks put together. It wears a suit, shows up on time, and drives itself to work every morning. The bills get paid, the lights stay on, the paycheck shows up right on time. And then one quiet moment reveals the truth. A declined card, a maxed out credit line, a sick feeling when rent, groceries, and gas all hit in the same week. This is not a story about laziness. It's not a story about intelligence. It's a story about rules most Americans were never taught. Let me tell you about Mark. Mark is 41. He lives in a clean suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. Married, 2 kids, stable job, earns enough that on paper he should be fine. But every month, his money disappears faster than his calendar fills up. And Mark's story is not unique. It's the American default. Today, you're going to hear 7 money rules. Not theory, not hype. Rules shaped by real people and real lives, just like Mark's. By the end of this story, you'll see why so many hardworking adults feel trapped and what it actually takes to step off the treadmill. Rule number 1. If you don't decide where your money goes, it will decide for you. Mark didn't think he had a money problem. He thought he had a timing problem. Bills showed up before paychecks, expenses landed back to back. Something always needed attention. But here's the truth. Most people miss. Mark didn't have a cash problem. He had a decision problem. His money was already spent before it arrived. Subscriptions are renewed automatically. Minimum payments pulled silently. Lifestyle costs claimed first place without asking permission. Paycheck to paycheck doesn't start with low income. It starts when money has owners before you do. Wealthy households do one thing differently. They assign jobs to dollars before the paycheck hits. Everyone else hopes there's something left. Hope is not a plan. Rule number 2. Convenience is the most expensive line item in America. Mark loved convenience. Coffee on the way to work. Lunch out, just this once. Delivery because the day felt long and his energy felt short. None of it felt reckless. None of it felt like a problem. That's why it worked. Because the most dangerous expenses in America don't look irresponsible. They look reasonable. They look earned. But here's what no one tells you. Convenience charges interest. Not bank interest. Lifestyle interest. It doesn't show up on a statement. It doesn't send alerts. It quietly raises your monthly cost of living until your income can't breathe. Mark didn't wake up one day, spending wildly. He just stopped asking, "Do I need this?" and started saying, "I deserve this." Convenience became a habit. Habits became expectations. Expectations became pressure. Soon, eating at home felt like a downgrade. Waiting felt like a punishment. And that's the trap. Paycheck to paycheck often isn't about poverty. It's about living life at emergency speed. When everything has to be fast, easy, and painless, money disappears faster than effort. This is why raises don't change lives for most people. The extra income doesn't create freedom. It feeds convenience. And convenience doesn't care how hard you work. Or it only cares how often you say yes. The moment convenience becomes default, your paycheck starts chasing your lifestyle instead of leading it. That's when the pressure begins. Rule number 3. Debt doesn't hurt when you swipe. It hurts when the month comes due. Mark used credit cards responsibly. Minimum payments made him feel grown. On-time payments made him feel safe. But debt doesn't measure responsibility by feelings. It measures time. Interest compounds every month. Income usually grows once a year. That mismatch quietly steals future options. Mark thought debt helped him survive the month. In reality, it was borrowing peace from his future self. Here's the rule. If debt isn't shrinking every month, it's growing your stress every year. Have you ever felt like you're working harder but going nowhere? And that's interest doing math while you're doing life. Rule number 4. Your lifestyle will always rise to meet your income unless you stop it. When Mark got his last raise, nothing dramatic happened. No celebration, No new car, no announcement, and yet, everything upgraded. The phone plan quietly got better. Groceries became nicer without a second thought. Little rewards and personal treats became necessary because the money was there. That's what makes it dangerous. Lifestyle creep doesn't care how hard you worked for the raise. It doesn't care about your long-term plans. It only cares about one thing: how much space you leave between income and spending. If there's space, it fills it. At first, it feels harmless, even deserved. But over time, it raises your monthly baseline so quietly that you don't notice the pressure building. This is why so many Americans earn more and still feel stuck. The raise doesn't create freedom. It creates a more expensive version of the same life. Wealth isn't built by earning more money. It's built by protecting the gap between what you earn and what you live on. Most people close that gap automatically. Then they wait for freedom to show up. It rarely does. Rule number 5. Emergency funds aren't about emergencies, they're about dignity. Mark didn't like the idea of an emergency fund. To him, it felt wasteful. Money just sitting there. Money that could be earning, growing, doing something useful. "I'll build it later," he told himself. Later never showed up. Because life doesn't wait for financial readiness. When the car needed repairs, there was no buffer. When a medical bill arrived, there was no plan. When something unexpected happened, there was only one option left: debt. That's when Mark learned the real purpose of an emergency fund. It's not about earning returns. It's about protecting choices. Emergency funds give you time. They give you space. They keep pressure from forcing bad decisions. People without emergency funds don't just face emergencies. They face moments of quiet humiliation, borrowing when they don't want to, asking for help when they shouldn't have to, accepting terms they didn't choose because there's no alternative. That's not a money problem. That's a dignity problem. Dignity is the ability to handle life without panic, without begging, without giving up leverage. It's a financial asset most people never plan for. And the moment you need it, you realize how valuable it really is. Or rule number 6, money stress is a numbers problem, not a character flaw. Mark blamed himself. "I should be better. I should be more disciplined. I just need to try harder." That's what struggling people are taught to believe. But here's the truth most never hear. Money stress is usually a math problem, not a character flaw. Mark wasn't failing because he lacked willpower. He was failing because he couldn't see the numbers clearly. He didn't know his true monthly burn rate. He didn't know how much interest he paid each year. He didn't know what his money was actually funding. And when money is invisible, fear fills the gap. Wealthy households don't guess, they measure. Not to shame themselves, not to feel bad, but to see clearly. Clarity replaces panic with control. Shame does the opposite. It freezes action. Like if your money feels heavy, if thinking about it makes you uncomfortable, it's usually not because you're bad with money. It's because the math is hidden, and what stays hidden keeps people stuck. Rule number 7. Paycheck to paycheck ends the moment you start playing offense. Everything changed for Mark when he stopped asking, "How do I survive this month?" and started asking, "How do I make next month easier?" He automated savings first, attacked one debt aggressively, cut one expense that didn't serve his life. Small moves, but intentional. Paycheck to paycheck doesn't end with a miracle. It ends with momentum. One decision that creates space. One win that builds confidence. One system that doesn't rely on willpower. That's how financial hope is rebuilt. The quiet truth. Most people never hear. Living paycheck to paycheck isn't a failure. It's a system built on convenience, silence, normalized stress. Breaking free doesn't require perfection. It requires rules. If these 7 rules feel useful, put them into action. Used consistently, they can help you move through financial struggle with far more clarity. And if any part of Mark's story felt familiar, if any rule hit a little too close, you're not behind. You're just early in awareness. And awareness is where prosperity starts. We share real finance stories like this every single day. If this story helped you see your money differently, share it with someone who's silently struggling. And subscribe, because the next story might be the one that finally changes how your money behaves. One rule at a time, 1 month at a time. A one life with less pressure. That's how Paycheck to Paycheck ends.